G'day, Whiskey. Now, I'm just going live. It's just me tonight. Going live to record some videos for an upcoming program I'm putting together. And you are all going to benefit from it because you're going to be my audience. So we're going to go through the 12 lessons of metabolic precision. And these are straight from the corporate resources that we were teaching face-to-face for a few years back there. So if you'd like to follow on, this will be at a great benefit to those who are doing online because each week I'm going to go live with one particular lesson of metabolic precision that is going to help you along in your journey. And for those who don't have the Cook Bible and aren't doing online, there's going to be some really great information shared through these broadcasts. Hope you get some value from it. And if you decide you'd like to become accountable to that information and see how far it can take you with the accountability, then we're going to have some opportunities for you to jump in on the Whiskey India Tango 2019 program over the coming months. And there's always Megan's Fit Mum program, which is online only. And I've also got an online only program as well, which makes you totally accountable to this information. So just bear with me. Testing the microphone, making sure it's clear. Videos for an upcoming program I'm putting together. I'm going to be my audience podcasts. Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. So I'm not going to be answering questions live through this broadcast. If you do have questions, though, I want you to pop them in the comments section because I'll be getting back to those questions after the broadcast. This broadcast is going to be strictly presentation only, so no interaction. But if you can hang with me for the next 10-15 minutes, I'm going to present to you why a lot of people tend to fail when they get started on a fitness journey. So here we go. All right, so welcome to week 1 of Metabolic Precision. My name's Peter, and I'm going to take you through the following 12 lessons. Before we begin, the first question I want to ask you is, what do you want from your program? Becoming super clear on exactly what you want from your program is so important when embarking on any journey, because it guides you down a path that's most direct to those goals. If you don't have that clarity, then you'll veer off, you'll take detours, and overall you may not even get to where you want to get to. It'll take much longer. So we want to create the shortest path between A and B, where you are now, A, and where you want to be, obviously, at B. If eating lots of delicious food is one of the things you want from your program, you're in the right place. If exercising for less than a handful of hours per week is another thing you'd like from your program, then you're in the right place. And eventually, if getting the health, the fitness, and the body you've always wanted is what you'd like from your program, then you're also in the right place. So that's the bottom line, and that's what this program is all about. Over the next 12 weeks, you're going to discover how to program the hairy bag of chemical soup, how you can get the best results from your efforts using less than 3% of your week. Now, that's only a couple of hours per week in the gym. You're also going to learn how to make food work for you and how to fast track your success from what you're doing in the gym. I'm going to clue you in on a little known fact about what you drink. A lot of us have probably heard you are what you eat. Even more so, you are what you drink. And a lot of people can gloss over that fact. So I'm going to clue you in on that in week 4. In week 5, I'm going to talk to you about how you can turn all of the good intentions that you have into something that's sustainable and that you can keep for life. So at the end of the day, why lose 5, 10 kilos? Why get abs? Why tone up certain areas of your body if you can only keep that for a certain amount of time? You may as well have stayed where you were in the first place. I'm going to teach you the success secrets, the things that a lot of programs don't cover, because you and I both know that there's so much information out there. If you were to jump on Google tomorrow or even tonight and type in fat loss, you'd probably get all of the information that you needed to lose body fat. Problem is, getting that information and applying it is a totally different thing. So I'm going to teach you how you can find unlimited motivation, and it's through finding your why. I'm going to tell you exactly why you don't need to count calories to get the best result. That goes for macros as well. In fact, that goes for points. It goes for any kind of system you can think of that tries to encapsulate food. I'm going to teach you how to focus on less to achieve more. Really dial down that overwhelm that tends to overcome us, especially as we get further along in the journey. I'm going to show you the science behind breaking and creating habits. Now, this is really exciting stuff. And this is stuff that's been researched since the 80s in places like MIT and Harvard University. I'm going to teach you the cutting edge science behind habits, how they're formed, and when you know how they're formed, you know how to break them. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about blackmail and what the blackmail diet was and how we can use the principles and obviously the success principles of that diet in our own lives. We're going to talk a little bit more about your support network. So the people that you live, breathe, and work with, you love every single day of your life, because those people are crucial in your journey. If what you're going to do over the next 12 weeks alienates them, makes them feel inadequate, does anything to get between you and them, chances are you're going to give up on all of your good intentions and go back to the way you were, just to get back on that parity state with your family members, with your work colleagues, whoever they might be, friends, etc. So finding a way to achieve your goals but cause as little disruption as possible throughout your journey to those people that you love and enjoy spending time with is another crucial part to this whole transformation process. And at the end, in week 12, I'm going to teach you a little bit about your metabolism. Your metabolism specifically, we're going to classify it. So you'll be able to see exactly where your metabolism is right now, and you'll be able to see, or you'll be able to find out how long it's going to take to get the result you want. This is something that a lot of programs can't do. A lot of people can't tell you when you go and sign up for personal training at the gym. They can't tell you when you'll get the result you're looking for specifically. We'll try out. We'll get pretty close. I'll tell you that right now in week 12. With your metabolic classification, we're going to set some realistic expectations for you and your goals, and we're going to paint the clearest path forward and teach you and show you what your next step is. So I hope that's exciting for you. I hope you're really pumped up, you're ready to go. Let's get stuck into lesson 1, the hairy bag of chemical soup. In this lesson, we're going to talk about why people fail to get the body they really want, and we're going to try and focus or hone in on the one thing that's holding you back, the one thing you must tackle head on. And I'll tell you right now, it's got nothing to do with food, and it's got nothing to do with the exercise. So tell me if you can relate. With the sheer amount of conflicting, confusing information out there in today's world, a lot of people simply don't get started because they're too overwhelmed by the options. But let me tell you one thing about the options in front of you right now. Now, the popularity of these has changed over time, but with new skins and new wrapping, the popular diets you see today, they bear the same nuts and bolts as these ones here on the screen. I'm not going to name names, but I'll tell you that pretty much every single diet, every single detox cleanse program has one mechanism. And that one mechanism is creating what we call a calorie deficit. Anybody will lose weight if there is a calorie deficit involved. The key to making this sustainable is making the smallest deficit possible, or the smallest amount of change as possible. If you go and overhaul something, first of all, you won't know what's working and what's not. So you won't be able to know what you can keep up to maintain the result you've gotten and what you'll be able to let go of. Because when you overhaul something, you tend to change too many things too quickly, and you become overwhelmed by all of the change, and you don't know what is working, what's not, and you throw your hands up in the air. And that tends to be probably 85%, 90% of what I see when people come walking through the door. We need to short circuit that process. We need to find a way of getting around that overwhelm. Now, sometimes you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes you get it right and it works. So sometimes people will find a diet that they truly love and enjoy, and they contour it and they fit it to their likes, dislikes, beliefs, and so forth, to a point where they can maintain it and it becomes sustainable. That's like playing Russian roulette. Sometimes people get it right, but most of the time they get it wrong. So we want to try and increase our odds of getting it right, and it all comes back to making the smallest amount of change as possible and tracking that change. Now, with all of the conflicting, confusing information around, you might have the question of what's the best diet? What should I be doing? What's the best form of exercise? Well, there's one tool that we use to identify a plan or a program as to whether it's good or bad, and that is this golden triangle right here. The success of any plan or program comes down to these three things. It must improve the way you look, because let's face it, we don't do anything like exercise or start eating healthy unless it's going to do that. It's going to improve that. We are a visual and we are an ever-growing visual world. There's no denying that. It's going to get more and more visual the further we get along into the future. And you cannot deny the fact that people exercise to do this one thing, and that's look better. Pretty close second is feeling better or better health. So sometimes you might get a call from the doctor, and the doctor says, hey, you're going to have to do something about your weight, or you'll get X, Y, Z. But a lot of the time that doesn't happen. We obviously don't want that to happen either. We want to prevent it before that happens. So the program, the plan must improve health at the same time as improving your body composition. And finally, it must improve the way you function or your energy levels. You should be jumping out of bed with energy. You should be able to get through your day without a 2 p.m. slump, or without you having to look for the Allen's lollies in the cupboard at work. You should be able to wind down at nighttime, and you should be able to sleep well throughout the night. Unfortunately, with all the stresses that we have in our lives, and on top of that, you've got technology, you've got a host of other things that tend to interfere with our sleeping patterns, we start to create this vicious cycle. And Once the vicious cycle of inadequate sleep or poor rested sleep takes hold, it actually encourages weight gain, specifically to the stomach area. It does a bunch of scientific things to your hormones. I'm not going to go into too deep with the science here, but it will affect the way your body stores fat and metabolizes fat, and it starts to create a vicious cycle where it becomes easier and easier to put on that body fat and harder to get it off. So focusing on those three things before you look for the body composition changes, or I'll say that again, focusing on your energy and your health before you start to really, put your heart and soul and all of your dreams into getting a quick body composition result. You must find parity, or you must get equal results in all three of these things to make anything sustainable. And as soon as one of these things are out of balance, the whole tower will fall. Speaking from experience, I've been in great shape before, stepped on stage with under 10% body fat as a bodybuilder, but the means or the ways that I got there did not improve my health and did not improve my energy. It actually went in the opposite direction. So speaking from experience, I've done this the wrong way. I've also done this the right way. I've stepped up on stage looking even better than I did back before when I used to compete the wrong way. I've done it all over again, reached that coveted single-digit body fat, doing it the right way. I had loads of energy, tons of health, and I felt like absolute Superman, superstar. So this can be done, and in the following slides, I'm going to teach you about your metabolism and how you can do it. Before we do that, though, let's talk more about how to identify a bad plan. The first thing is, if a plan simply cuts calories, restricts carbohydrates, or it restricts any form of nutritious food, then chances are it's going to be a plan that's going to be unsustainable. If all it does is tell you what to eat and what not to eat, it's not going to be sustainable, because as soon as you're told what not to eat, your consciousness is drawn to that food, and all you can obsess about and think about is that food. Am I right? Now, if it gets too technical with too much information that's unnecessary too soon, it's going to overwhelm you. Again, it's going to be unsustainable. If it doesn't provide the solutions for situations that you face every single day, then again, it's going to be unsustainable. An example of this is if it tells you not to have chocolate late at night after a stressful day at work, chances are the program's going to be missing a big portion of the whole picture. Maybe you're tired and you didn't have a good night's sleep the night before, and because your brain's so depleted, it looks for the quickest source of energy, and that source of energy comes from the chocolate, because that's all you have in the house, right? So the program demonizing that chocolate isn't actually addressing the problem. Problems are you're not sleeping, you've got chocolate that's only a couple of steps away from your couch, and that's your habit, that's all you know. And breaking down those things and addressing them one by one, it takes time. When you do it right, you do it permanently, and it stays. That result stays because you've done it that right way. Okay, you've got to really break things down. It's never just black and white. If the program is difficult to refine, contour, and fit to your family's lifestyle, there's no chance of success. There's no way you can continue cooking up 2 meals for you, one for you and one for the rest of the family for the rest of your life. You need to make this fit in with the family's lifestyle, otherwise it will not last. And if you can sit there and you can say, yes, I can do this for the rest of my life, chances are you're onto a good thing. But if you can't, then again, it's not going to be sustainable. All right, moving forward. Metabolism. Does anybody know, or do you know, what your metabolism is? It's a word that gets thrown around quite a bit and often as an excuse as to why you are facing what you're currently facing. A lot of people will say they've got a slow metabolism or they were born with a bad one. But contrary to popular belief, your metabolism is something that's built and maintained throughout your entire life. It's essentially a hairy bag of chemical reactions that occur inside your body every single second of the day, when you're awake, when you're asleep. Those soup of those reactions, that soup of reactions, determines the triangle. So essentially, the result of a great metabolism is a great-looking body, a body that functions really well, and a body that feels great. Turning that metabolism into the body of your dreams is pretty straightforward when you know how. And it's the only way to permanent change. So up on the screen here, we've got a little pie chart. And on that pie chart, there are a bunch of numbers. Before we move on to the next phase of this slide, I want to ask you, where do you think exercise lies? So this pie chart is basically your metabolism. It's the total amount of energy that you burn every single day. How much does exercise contribute to that total energy expenditure? Is it 66%? Is it 12%? Surely it's going to be more than that. Is it 17%? Or is it less? Is it 5%? Let's have a look. 17%. So the daily workout, no matter how hard, how long, how many times you go to the gym in a day, can only account to up to 17% of your total daily energy expenditure. Fun fact, the human body, despite what your Garmin watch might say, can only metabolize up to 10 calories per minute. Now, this 10 calories per minute, it's like Usain Bolt sprinting down the 100-meter track kind of intensity. If you can keep that kind of intensity up for 30 minutes, you will have only burnt 300 calories. How do we know this? We know this because of very complex calorimeter scientific studies where people are hooked up to oxygenated devices that measure all sorts of different things. And what we found is that the human body is only capable of expending up to 10 calories per minute. So burning calories within a workout, if that is your focus, then you're probably not going to get the most from your workouts. In fact, to get the most from your workouts, what we need to understand is the main portion or the main chunk of what we burn every day is attributed to the amount of muscle mass we carry on our bodies. The more muscle we have, the more fat we're going to burn. And the more muscle we have, the more fat we'll burn while we're asleep. Now imagine that. Imagine turning your body into a fat burning machine that burns fat every single day and every single night. Do you think you'd get closer to your goals a little bit quicker if you focus just on that? I think so. A few more fun facts about lean body mass or muscle mass is we actually lose it as we age. So we lose the muscle mass as we age, which means it gets harder as we get older to maintain our body shapes. So the focus therefore must stay on and become more intent on building muscle mass as we age, or at least maintaining it. Muscle mass also controls, or it stores, the vital immune system fuel we use every single day. So if you think of your muscle mass in your body like a bank account, every single day your body is making transactions on that muscle mass. Taking $3 out there for a cup of coffee, $4 out for a bag of chips. Your body's constantly taking small transactions from your body. And if you don't replace that or put more back in, your muscle balance over 5-10 years will start to deteriorate. And that's where the health problems start to kick in and the mobility problems start to kick in. That all sounds doom and gloom. I don't want to make it sound doom and gloom because this is something that will potentially save your life. But it's not in the short term, it's in the long term. It's when you're 60 years old, but you look like an 80-year-old, or you have the mobility of an 80-year-old. I don't know about you, but when I'm 60, I still want to be able to, go and chase down my grandson and tackle him while he's running away with me with a footy, that sort of thing. So as you age, the focus needs to become more and more intent on building that muscle mass. So here are some take-home messages from today's lesson. The first thing is metabolism. It's going to determine those three things that we want. So let's focus on building a better metabolism before we start focusing on just the way we look. The second thing is don't use exercise as a trade-off. So back to that little equation that I did, the maximum amount of calories you can burn in a 30-minute time period is 300 calories. That would equate to no more than a cheeseburger from Macca's. So if you've eaten something like a whole pizza on Friday and then you go back to the gym on Monday and you try to run it off, chances are you won't. It'll be all in vain. So if you have the pizza, just accept that you had the pizza and try and do better next time. Maybe have half a pizza instead of a full pizza. You might create a calorie deficit right there by cutting that back a little bit. Because at the end of the day, you cannot stay in a calorie deficit. You will go on a diet, maybe for 6 weeks or 12, and then eventually you'll get to the point where your body needs more calories. And that need comes through the natural want or craving for the foods that you love and enjoy. Most of the time, this whole yo-yo happens uncontrollably throughout the year. So for the first few months, you're motivated. For the few months of winter, you're demotivated and you go on that downswing, and then bang, spring comes back around and you have that motivation again. But they're wild swings. They're wild swings of huge losses and huge gains. If we can control that and send it in the right direction, we have a much better chance of maintaining a great body shape, maintaining great health, and maintaining great energy all throughout the year. And imagine the kind of productivity you'll have, the kind of attention that you'll be able to spend on the people that you love and enjoy when you do find that maintenance period, when you find that, that really cool place where you're just coasting along with a great body shape, great health, and great energy. Take-home message 3 is the eating is just as important as the exercise. So if you're working out to build muscle, you also have to eat to build muscle as well. And that's what metabolic precision is all about. It's doing those two things, eating and exercising, to build that muscle mass up so that you've got money in the bank for the rest of your life. And finally, your muscle mass matters. Don't ever lose focus of that. Muscle mass is just as important as the money in your bank. So before I let you go, for the next 12 weeks or however long you decide to stay on for, this question is going to keep coming back to you, because the only way to truly personalize something is to ask this question: what's holding you back? Because there's a wealth of information in this program. And there's a very real risk that you take on too much information too soon as well. Now, this program is designed to just drip feed you the right things at the right time, but you can't help human nature, and sometimes humans will treat something like this lifestyle change as though it's a diet and try and throw themselves into it too quickly, too soon. So This is a very grounding question. It takes you inward. You need to really be in a good space to be able to answer this correctly. So when you do ask yourself this question, don't do it when the kids are screaming in the background, or don't do it when the boss is telling you to get something done by a deadline. Do it when you have some time. Ask yourself, what's holding me back? What habits keep getting in the way of my good intentions? Because habits are continued actions without thinking. They're the things that we do every day without even thinking about it. They control the things like tying your shoelaces up, driving to work. All of the things that you do, but you don't have to think about, you don't have to relearn. These are your habits. Now your habits, or your brain, don't know what habits are good or bad for us. It's very indiscriminatory. Your brain will store all kinds of habits. You'll be surprised at what kind of habits are deep inside of your brain. And the only way to bring them to the surface is by identifying them, breaking them down, and finding out what actually sparks the cycle. We'll talk about that more later in the program. Now, this natural brain chunking, it's good, both good and bad, because you can create habits as well, and you can turn those habits into intense cravings. We'll talk about that more as well as the program goes along. But for now, all I want you to think about, or all I want you to ask yourself is, what is holding you back? What is the one thing you do on a regular and consistent basis that is contributing to your weight gain, or is not contributing to better health? What's the one thing you're consistently doing that takes you away from your goal? You don't have to have the goal of losing a bunch of weight to want to, improve your body shape. You might only need to lose 2 to 3 kilos, but what's the one thing you can do that'll get you closer to achieving that goal? Identify that, and you'll be a huge step closer to what you want to achieve. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Again, like I said, if you are doing this online, these lessons are going to really just improve the experience over the next 12 weeks and really solidify what you're learning online. Maybe you're going to hear something that you've sort of glossed over when you read it. That tends to happen quite a bit. So the whole teaching process of me talking to you is going to be a really valuable one. If you're not doing online at the moment, this information still nonetheless will be extremely valuable to you. If you're just listening to a couple of lessons here and there, I'm sure you're going to pick up on things that will improve your lifestyle, improve the results from whatever you are doing, if it's only ice you're doing right now. And eventually, if you do get to a point where you want to be kept accountable to making the small changes that you need to make, if you want to be kept accountable to the information that we're providing, then there are various ways that you can get involved with this program with us. We package it up in bright, beautiful ways to make it really exciting and really energetic and motivating for you. So there's the Whiskey India Tango program, which is based around the blackmail of getting those photoshops done, a lot of photo shoots done, along with the functional fire weekends, every workshops every first weekend of every month. So the intake for that will be coming up soon. Keep an eye out for that. And then there's always the online program that you can get involved in as well, which is sort of like the step before Whiskey India Tango. So again, thank you for listening. All your questions, if there are questions, I have no idea if there are any questions. If there are questions, I'll get back to them as we go along over the next few days. If you are watching this at a later date, feel free to pop some questions down on the comments section. I'm going to keep this little habit up and keep these lessons coming. So thanks again. See you guys.